Good morning and welcome. It's Saturday, August 10th, and you're with me on my morning podcast, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. And also, we need to hang on to your children. We don't forget them. Now, CPS is, I use CPS to mean the Child Protection System. There are a lot of different acronyms around the states. So some use CPS, some use DCS, some use the Bureau. There's a lot of different names, but when I say CPS, I mean the Child Protection System. Now, that system uh, is pretty big, but it's also corrupt, and I'm sad to say that you guys have probably experienced something really awful. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about how you can interact with this podcast. We have one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 rooms linked to this podcast, and we're already getting lots of people in. Now, one of the first ways you can interact with this podcast is to be in the room. Um, just by listening and understanding, maybe there's some things that can help you. You're in this room because you care about your family, you care about your children. So I admire you for that. I also want to help you. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a father of 6 children, 3 older ones and 3 younger ones. And my 3 younger ones were the ones that were trafficking by the CPS, the Child Protection System. And I'm in from Southern California, and it happened to me late in my life, really late in my life. Now, by you listening, you can do emojis. But if you wanted to text a comment or text a question, I'd love to have that. So when you text a question or a comment, what you do is you type something pertaining to CPS. It's supposed to be CPS, a CPS question, CPS comment, but it's very important we focus on CPS. There's a lot of topics we can talk about. Politics is really heavy right now, but there's really no time for that. So I want everybody to concentrate on the child protection system. Please show your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. It's very important um, that you are complete. When I say country, what I mean country is that I do have contacts from countries, 13 of them so far, from around the world. I've heard from Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, the continent of Africa, with South Africa province, and then I had Mozambique, which is north of South Africa, on the east side of Africa, across Madagascar. Then in the Central East Africa, I've had Rwanda, and Rwanda went through a horrible time in 1984 where 1 million people were wiped out and 400 females were raped. 400 females, 400,000 were raped. I meant to say the wrong number there, but 400,000. That is terrible. I mean, that country went through a lot, but they've recuperated and now are really a strong country, but they've called in too. Then I go to North Africa on the coast there and I talked to Liberia. A gentleman named Archie was a scout leader there. He works with the scouts, and he was interested about how we handle CPS and so forth. So he's texted in several times from um, Liberia. And then we go up to Europe. I've heard from England, Scotland, Wales, the United Kingdom. And then I've also heard from Sweden and Denmark. Then I go across the pond to North America, and I've heard from Canada, both coasts from Canada. And then all the 50 states have either texted or called me, including the Washington, D.C. Now, I've had 2 social workers contact me, um, of the 500 more people I've called. So that was great to hear what they had to say. I'm hoping to hear more. Then we go further south to Mexico, and I've had a gentleman from Mexico call looking for his daughters in Louisiana. And then we go to South America, and we have a country called Guyana. And they called in too. They have a coastal town called Georgetown. They're above Brazil, east of Venezuela, along the coast. Then we go across the Pacific Ocean to the land down under. That's Australia. And they've contacted me too. So those are the countries that have expressed interest in um, our CPS system. I'm open to everybody. Now, when I say complete with your case, make sure you start off with how your family makeup is. Are you a husband, wife? Are you a girlfriend, boyfriend? Are you lovers? Are you a partnership? Are you single parents raising children? Are both parents involved? Are the children, what are the ages and the sexes? And then are the children all from the same parents or do they have different parents? And then after that, I'd like to know the number of children, the ages and the sexes, and then what you were alleged, what happened to you. You probably don't know who called in. It could either be a professional layperson, but a lot of layperson calls in to use it as a weapon, which is sad because they'll do false allegations. My case was very, very true false allegations. They were trying to steal my children. That was my in-laws. I did not know that. I did not know that. Too much later. It came much, much, much later. Mhm. So after you've told me about the children, then what were you alleged you done? Was it neglect or abuse or both? Um, that's really important. Also, you share some of the details too. Also, how were the children taken? Did you give them up? Do you surrender them at your home? Do you let them in your home? Or did you have domestic violence going on where they had to enter your home? Or did they have a warrant to get in your home? How were the children taken? Did you take them down to their offices? And last, where you at on your case? So if you can be complete with your child protection system case, whether you type in a comment or whether you call in, it's very important. Now, a third way of interacting with this podcast is to be a guest. I had a guest the other day, very nice, very articulate woman on last night, and she was had a really hard case, and it was really good to have her. So to do so, all you have to do is contact our show producer to be our guest. Our show producer's name's Grace. She's on here, works behind the scenes. She helps me with my show and keeps it running. And she will also help you get on the show. She'll give you the link. I broadcast it on YouTube. I use the StreamYard application. And with the StreamYard application, um, she'll give you that link. Also, she'll tell you what to do as a guest. And one thing she'll tell you is that not to eat or smoke during the podcast. Also, to refrain from using names. You don't want to use your names on here. Also, there's some things you got to be careful about. You can't say on Facebook. They have some rules and stuff you have to follow. Anyway, uh, you just identify the show. There's 14 shows that I do 2 times a day. One at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time every day, Monday through Sunday, except on Sundays, which is tomorrow. I come on at 8 o'clock in the morning. In the evening, I'm on at 7 o'clock, 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. And that's every day of the week, Monday through Sunday. So in your email, you'll tell Grace, I want to be on Bob's morning show on Sunday. I want to be Bob's Tuesday evening show, or his Friday morning show, or his Wednesday evening show. You place it, she'll help you get on there. She'll give you the link and she'll talk to you on how to be a guest. Now, her email is grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And um, that's how you write her. That's Grace at VincentWDavis.com. Grace at VincentWDavis.com. So that's the third way of interacting with podcasts. The last way is my phone number. I have an office phone number of 626 698 0990. That's 626 698 0990. And we use Vonage is my phone connection there. And so it's internet based. And I want to make sure that I reach out to people that are with me every day, but a lot of times the notifications come out later. The notifications come out later. That's what's happened with the notifications. I just notified Faye, who's from Richmond, Kentucky, and she's a single mom with an older child she's trying to get guardianship of. She lost her daughter, sad to say. She was given an ultimatum and she had to choose between her son, who has special needs. So, with that being said, it was really tragic. It really was tragic. And let's see, there's somebody else too, I think. Besides Ray. There's my co-host, who used to be my co-host, Danielle from Georgia. She's a single mom. Her son got caught up when he was over 18 in another state, and she's trying to get guardianship. He's a special needs kid too. But she's had computer issues, so she's not been on. But I notified her so she knows about it. And then I also contact Natalie, and Natalie's from West Hollywood. She's a single mother, and she's West Hollywood, California, and she lost her two girls too. So I've given notification to all those people, and let me see here. Do we have anybody that's called in that tried to? Okay, everybody call in because see when I have this phone number, it's only good during the show time. If you call before or after the show time, I'll send you a message about when to call. I can't take your calls when I'm not at work here during the podcast. So that is the way you interact with the podcast. There are four ways. One, you're in the room. Two, you send comment. Three, you're a guest. And four, you call in. My phone number is live at 626 698 0990. Now, if you want to know some more about who I am, as I said, I'm a loving father of six children and been married 31 years. I'm a family man. And the way that CPS approached me was through false allegations by my in laws. It started in 2000 when I lost my job through no fault of my own. At age 60, um, we had to close down our company because of our um, contracts were not going to come in for a while. Good morning, Faye. Faye just joined the room. She's that single mom I was telling you about Richmond, Kentucky. And she says, hello, good day, everybody. Well, good day to you too, Faye. I've already told the people, how they interact with the podcast and that I got you to come aboard. And I did not know what you'd like to do today. Faye's a regular, and she's really been instrumental. She gives me links and stuff there too. So right now I'm talking about me and my case and how it started. And what kind of a person I am. Now, there are four rules I have that I want you all to know about because if I knew about my own rules, I would never have lost my daughter. You see, I had three children. As I'm telling you, for 5 years, The in-laws were saying things that weren't true. The mother would call in, the father would call in, my wife's mother and father, and then her brother and her two sisters, three sisters. She has three sisters. They all call in with far-fetched stories, like the kids had no clothing, the kids didn't go to school, the kids didn't eat, the utility bills weren't being paid, and all that. And I proved all those incidents wrong. You see, the problem with allegations, and this is the sad part about allegations, is that allegations can be used by other people to hurt other people. And so, in my case, for 5 years, they're investigating me, and they come to my home. I show them around, and every time they'd walk away sadly because they didn't find anything. You see, what CPS likes to attack is people that are low income, or maybe just had a disaster in life, maybe not educated as much as other people. You want to get them when they're weak. Why? Because they got $1 million business. Not that these people pay, not that we pay, but they receive trillions of dollars from the U.S. government. I'm talking about money up the yin yang. Now, in my case, my three children, the county from the state was getting $20,000 per child. That's $60,000, one in 1 month. If you had 100 family with three kids, that's $6 million in 1 month. So you see how ludicrous that is. It doesn't take that kind of money to support a child or to house or anything like that. And my kids were taken when there was no extreme need at their home. They were in school when they were taken. You see, there's only, you know, three ways they can come and take your children. One, you give them permission to, which most parents don't. Two, there's domestic violence going on. By the way, that's my rule number three. If domestic violence is going on, that means the children in front of the parents squabbling, or maybe the child is being beaten excessively, or maybe there's a weapon like a knife or a gun being used. If that is going on, the social workers and the police will come in and take away the children and arrest the people involved in domestic violence. It's against the law to do domestic violence around children. And yelling in front of the kids is bad because what the kids see is parents that yell. And they grow up with a syndrome, which is sad to say, is that yelling parents. Now, Faye says she has a video of a Kentucky social worker I just sent you of her leaving her adopted newborn infant in a car by itself when she went inside store to shop. So this is a social worker. Now, these social workers are really bad. This is another one here, and I'm going to see if I can play this and see what happens here. Okay. Faye, all right, here she goes. So this is a social worker, and lady thinks it's okay to leave the car running with babies inside and go into Dick's Sporting Goods. So this person is taking pictures of the children in the back seat asleep, um, with the babies in the car. Now this is a social worker. This is a social worker. Um, it's really sad to see this. There's no voice in it. It's just there's some background voice, but it's a picture of a car, and it has a picture of the social worker in the front seat. She gets out of the car, and this person is using their phone against the window where the kids are in the back and taking pictures. And then she shows nobody in the front seat. First, the woman was in the front, she's not. So this is by a Facebook person that put it on her Facebooker, and she knows that this person is a social worker, and the car is left running while she goes into Dick's Sporting Goods. And there's a lot of comments in there. I mean, so far, Let's see, when did this come in here? 16 hours ago this took place. And there's 75 comments. 75. Now the cops should have been called. Besides this woman taking a picture, you should have the cops called. I don't know where the social worker is. I have her name here, but um, wow, she also has a TikTok account here too, the social worker. Wow, social worker boy mama X2. Wow. Okay, she's in Kentucky. So this is a Kentucky social worker. This is a Kentucky social worker. Anyway, this TikTok thing is amazing. Um, her first name is Dana, and she's in Kentucky, and I'm not sure if she's from Richmond or what part of Kentucky, but she says, Mama, two loves, Jesus, a social worker. Danger dot three at gmail.com. Uh, it's terrible. She has pictures on her TikTok that are really. She's very young looking. She looks like she's only in her early 20s. I don't know how she'd be a social worker. I don't know how she would be. Her Facebook picture, she has a Facebook. She says that she's a social worker. Name is Dana Roberts in Kentucky. And that social worker should be called upon. You don't leave children in a car. You don't leave children in a car. Thank you for sharing that. Your social worker was 23, so was mine. Mine was a young social worker. And as I told my people, I've told this many times, my social worker stole my daughter. She was so bad. She was one of three social workers that was on my case, and she had no college training. See, in Kentucky, they're required to have a license. Whether they enforce it or not is a much discussed point because there's a lot of social workers in Kentucky that don't have license. But in California, you don't need a license. You don't even need to have a college degree in California. Kentucky, you need to have a college degree and have some background in social work. But my social worker was terrible. She was 23. She wasn't married. She didn't know ideas about children. She didn't know about unification. You see, um, there's a third part. They miss a part. You see, the branch of social service. Social services falls underneath the welfare and I think it's welfare and HUD. Um, that's the national at the DC level. That's where you can do your final grievances. Then you got the state level people, and then you got the county. And in Kentucky, it's really corrupt. It's really corrupt. And that's because I hear a lot from Faye. She tells me a lot of things like that. I experience a little bit of lag here. Looks like things slow on my picture. I don't know if I'm moving or not. But Faye, are you hearing me okay, or do I need to turn my volume up? Is my volume good? Yeah, yeah, I agree. Oh, good, good. You hear me good. All right, so my social worker, she destroyed her family. I mean, I had to mortgage my home to hire an attorney, and that that right there is very important to have an attorney. If you have an attorney, Faye had an attorney and she still lost. It's really hard. This is the hardest thing any individual has to go through in life. You're not born with a manual of how to do life. You don't know how to date, you don't know how to socialize, and you certainly don't know about CPS. And I think they should give life classes in high school for 4 years that talk about CPS. It talks about the taxes and IRS, how to set up a checking account. They should talk about all these things that are life things like babies, where babies come from, sex education. It's all been stopped. I don't think they have it anymore. My son went through 4 years of a private school, and I don't think they had any life classes. Anyway, I mean, I remember in my high school, you had to carry a pillow, see what it felt like to be pregnant, but they don't do that. So you're faced with young social workers trying to take care of your life. That's with Faye, that was with me. And my social worker, during the whole time, 3 years of her, all she talked about was her Gucci purse. She get a new purse every week with her bonuses that she get for having her children in foster care. She'd talk about her eyelashes, her eye makeup, her accessories, her clothes, and her BMW car. That's all she knew about social services. But boy, did she really try to do a ruckus. We had a situation where, as I say, three of my children were taken, and by the way, they weren't in extreme danger. They're at school. Since once being at school is extreme danger. They're in class, doing well at school, and they were stolen. They were stolen, and then they were taken out and put into foster care system. It was sad. There's nothing that was extreme danger for them to be taken away. Social workers have an SOP. They find people that once were in foster care, and if they're grown up, they'll attack them. It's something about revenge. I don't know what it is. Faye was in foster care 5 times, in and out, as a young child. She wasn't taken care of in foster care. She was raped and molested and brutally hurt all those years. And then, of course, she fell in love and had children, like most people do when they grow up. And the relationships didn't work out. And of course, guess who came along? CPS. Oh, we know you. You're once in foster care. We'll go and take your child. So my social worker didn't know what family reunification was. And there was a part in the trial where they were sitting there, cross examined the social worker, and they were talking about whether my daughter should be adopted by my wife's sister and husband. That's how bad it got. And I'm sorry, I forgot to say your mom. Yes, Faye, your mom was the one that put Faye into CPS. Unfortunately, she loves her mom. Her mom's dead, but her mom was an alcoholic, a drug addicted woman, and wasn't a very good mother, and put Faye, an innocent child, I think as young as 4, she was first time in there, into foster care. And that's so sad because she was there 5 times. She gave her mom so many chances. Anyway, I'm glad she's in my room. I'm glad she's with me there. But my social worker doing the trial exam was asked a question: did my wife's sister and husband have any domestic violence? The social worker said, "Oh no, she's a great mother. They're both good. I checked them out. They're good parents. Be perfect suited for my daughter, our daughter." Well, then Vincent turned around and opened his case and got out a big folder. It was about an inch thick, And he started reading reports after reports after reports of domestic violence at my wife's sister and husband's home. The social worker's face dropped. She was appalled at that. Then on top of that, she left, of course. She had told a lie. And being a lie in court like that, you can be prosecuted. She's open for a lawsuit. She lied when there was no domestic violence. And so um, she wanted to get retaliation. See, social workers retaliate. I don't know if you know that or not, but they retaliate. And mine did. She told us that you're never going to see our daughter again. And what she did behind the scenes is she told her daughter, you're going to emancipate from your parents. That means you're going to divorce your mom and dad, your brother, grandparents, aunts, and uncles and cousins. You're going to change your name. She changed her name completely. You're going to seal your birth certificate like you were never born from our daughter was never born. And then you're going to be adopted in a foster care family. And it was so sad. Hi, Happy Feet from Arizona. Um, Hello, Mike. Hello, Shalin. I'm so glad the Happy Feet are here. They're from Arizona. I haven't told you about the Pink Ladies yet, but I will. Um, so that's what she told her daughter. That's what her daughter did. Our daughter didn't know at 12 years of age to do those things. So we never saw her again. I never seen my wife and I. Last time we saw our daughter, she was 12 years old. And it was sad. It was sad how they can alienate, which is against the law. They alienated our daughter from us. She didn't know what was going on. And of course, she went and did what the social worker told her to do. So it hurt. She's 22 now. 9 years later, I still have not seen my daughter. My wife has not seen her. Our sons go and visit her occasionally, which is good. And right now, she was abused by her foster family, so she's living with our daughter, our older daughter. And I think, yeah, it's her oldest daughter. And we have three boys, three girls, and two of the daughters and one of the boys live um, out, and of course, our younger daughter does. So um, we have three daughters and three boys, and it hurts me to say it because I miss them. Oh, is there a big red hole? I don't see it, but maybe I'll lean back. Thank you, Faye. I don't know where the red hole is. Um, I don't know if Grace can expand the brick to the whole screen. And okay, I see a little bit of the wind. No, there's nothing. I don't see a red hole anywhere. I don't see a red hole right there. Oh dear. There's a red hole. Anyway, I was hoping I could make the screen go bigger, but when I do that, I may lose the phone number. Not my office phone number, phone number of my attorney there. Good. I was leaning forward. Okay. Thank you, Faye. Thank you. Um, so that hurt. That hurt to lose a daughter. I know that Faye misses her daughter too. It's so bad. Oh, Shannon, that's what it is. She's 18 now, and we found out she is in a rehab. We also found she has fentanyl overdose, and nobody even notified us. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Poor Happy Feet. They have a daughter too who's 18 that is similar situation there too. Jeez. Oh boy, Mike and Shannon. That's tough. That's tough. You know. Well, I've had my phone number on there for now for a good 30 minutes, and no one's called it. It's 626-698-0990. We've had some comments come in. Oh, you get to see your 1-year-old. Wow, your kids are spread out too. Yeah, my kids are spread out. I have one son in the 40s, then I have two daughters in the 30s, and then I have two children in the 20s and one child at 18. So I have the whole spectrum. And it's hard when you lose your children. So don't believe in reunification. Now, one of my rules is you need to get an attorney. I don't know what the importance is, but it is. You're probably going to say, I got a court appointed attorney because I can't afford a real one. I understand that. I'm not saying you don't use a court appointed attorney, but let me tell you the facts about a court appointed attorney. One, they're not qualified for dependency law. Two, they're underpaid, so they're not going to fight for your case. They're lazy. They're just going to get the case over with. Three, if you have them represent you, you cannot talk to the judge at the bench. You can't get your voice in. They're not going to fight for you, and you're just going to lose your kids. You're going to lose your kids. Now, if you fire him, which you can do, you want to do pro se, which means you can defend yourself, you're against a big time attorneys. And these big time attorneys are social service attorneys. And don't forget, each child has an attorney. You have an attorney. Your spouse has an attorney if you have a spouse. And the social workers, each of them have an attorney. If there's three social workers, there's three attorneys, three children, that's six attorneys, and a husband, wife, that's seven, that's eight attorneys in that room with a judge, a bailiff, who's the sheriff in there keeping order, and then there's the clerk. There also could be some psychiatrists or things like that. Also, I found out in our case in Orange County, the dependency court, they don't allow parents into the room. We have to sit in the hallway. We can't even see what's going on. And our children are kept from us in the courtroom too. They're done by screen. And they don't see, that's the thing how they do alienation. They say alienation is illegal, but you know what they do? They do not tell your kids what's going on. They do just the opposite. They make us look bad so the kids will give up wanting to be with us. For instance, my kids, three of them were kept together. They're put in a group foster care home. Well, they're told to put their hands to the side and never hug their parents when we came for visitations. That was sad. That was so sad. No hug to parents. No hug to parents. Boy. Oh, your attorney. Well, boy, Kentucky is cheap. Faye just says that she had two kids and one attorney, but she should have had two. Of course, if you're inherently wealthy, then you could have attorneys for everybody. But you're looking at a price tag, say $300 for each attorney per hour, and you got the husband wife that's 600, three kids that's 900, that's $1,500. That means you'd have $1,500 in attorney fees for every hour. You're talking $50 to $100,000 in attorney fees so easily. Well, I had to sell my house, and that's what we're talking about. Is that in order to get your kids, you really need to get an attorney. That's how I got my two boys back. I lost my daughter because I waited too long. And sorry for the background noise. Two girls were being chased by a flying bee. I'm outdoors, and I'm trying to broadcast It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. It's been really windy lately, but no wind today. Temperature is so nice in the shade. It's about 75 in the shade and maybe 85 out there in the in the sun. I'm close to the beach. I'm only about half a mile from the water, the ocean. So Happy Feet says that we have four daughters, ages 18, 16, and 13, and one. Wow, that's a lot of girls. Then we have two boys, 9, and a younger son would have been 5 years old. Yes, Happy Feet lost a child in custody. It was so sad. They had lost a child, a 5-year-old. So I'm so glad that. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Faye. Faye's in Kentucky. It's been really hot and stuff. So, wow, 79. So maybe the weather across the country's shape up to be pretty nice. We don't have a cloud in the sky. It looked like a storm was coming yesterday, but the surf came up. If you guys want to know about the surf report, it went up from about 3 feet to 5 feet now. So we got good surf. We have a surfing contest down for the whole week. I spent a couple days ago when I was inducted into the Sidewalk Hall of Fame. So my name is carved in sidewalk. So I may die, but my name will live forever on the door of Jack's Surf Shop at Main Street and Pacific Coast Highway. Anyway, that's a whole different life for me. Didn't mean to digress there. Trying to have some good humor and stuff there. But we're talking about getting an attorney. And, I've talked about the court appointed attorney. I've talked about pro se. But, um, I had to sell my house because I didn't have enough equity to get a loan to pay an attorney. And that was a hard decision. I regret it because I had a home. I'd worked 40 years for that home. I worked 40 years working 60-hour weeks from 6 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night. That's 10 hours a day. Oh, okay, great. Glad to know that, Happy Feet. We got another surfer in the house. Good. So, getting an attorney is a tough decision, but right now, we have an attorney that produces podcasts. His company, Vincent W. Davis Associates. Vincent W. Davis Associates, name of the law firm. The lawyer I'm talking about is Vincent W. Davis. He's been fighting CPS for 35 years. He has an extensive background of winning cases against CPS and getting your children back. He knows the dependency law. That's the law you're in. You're in juvenile family dependency law. Juvenile family dependency law. That's what you need to look at. Any attorney you want to hire, you want to make sure they have credentials. Well, Vincent has that. As I said, 35 years. He's also a trial attorney. What that means, being a trial attorney, is that he can do trials. I mean, that's how good he is and stuff. Yes, Mr. Davis can take Arizona cases. He works all around the country. I mean, he can go anywhere. The only biggest problem people are going to have to understand is that when he travels, he's got his accommodations and he's got his transportation. He needs to fly there. He needs a car to drive around to get to the court and stuff and get to the print shop or whatever he has to do. And then he's got to have a place to sleep or crash. And so his fees are the same whether he's in California or in Arizona or Kentucky as far as lawyer fees go. It all depends on the case, the complexity of the case, and how long the case has been going on. The longer a case has been going on, the more complex, the higher the retainer is. But he'll discuss it with you. But if you just want to talk to him personally, he has a consultation and a good price for it too. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. That means $2 a minute. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes. In those 30 minutes, he'll cover everything, your strategies, how to get your kids back, all those things. And then you can ask him about his retainer, how much he retained. You need to describe his case to him so you can come up with a price. And then it's the other part, the per diem, the transportation and the accommodations are easy to figure out. I mean, I saw tickets to Colorado round trip for $200. So I would think Arizona wouldn't be that much either. And Arizona's not far. Maybe he'll drive. I don't know. I don't know if he likes to drive or not. But anyway, um, please call in to the office, 888-658-6582. That's the number on the screen. That's yellow and red or orange. You call at 888-658-6582. And when you speak to the officer, tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Ask him for a consultation with Mr. Davis. You want a 30-minute consultation, it's $60. And then, good, you call him on Monday. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's important he knows how he's contacted. Now, there's a little ticket at the bottom that talks about the website where you can line that up. It's candidly, it's https colon / candidly CALENDLY.com /apps APPTS BWD / Bob Pace. And it's a Zoom consultation. It's a discounted Zoom consultation. 30 minutes for $60. And you can talk to them. So that's really important there. So that takes care of my rule number one. I'll tell you a little bit about my case. Yes, I did get my boys back, thanks to Mr. Davis. And I want to thank him for doing this podcast. You know, he does a lot for a lot of people. He does a lot for a lot of people. Now I have rule number two, which is the paperwork things. And most people forget about the paperwork. I certainly did. I'd write everything down on little pieces of paper, envelopes. I'd try to use my day runner, and I'd try to use my phone or my computer. And everything's so small when you do all that, and you can't really see it. That's why I think the best way to keep track of everything is get yourself a notebook. Make sure it's a large notebook, 11 and a half by 8 inches, or is it 8.5 by 11? I don't know. Maybe it's 8.5 by 11. So you get this notebook, and it's a 3-ring binder notebook, about 3 to 6 inches thick. And I'd get as thick as you can. And then I get a package of subject dividers. You may want to get two packages because you have a lot of content to separate. And you want to make simple separations. And oh boy. The some of the topics is the first one that I think is really important is your incidents. Your incidents are all the things that are happening to you, either with the police or with the child protection system, or maybe with your kids or wherever it is. So what you do is that you get some college rule notebook paper, stuff the notebook with it, and then you write it. On the first line, you put down the date, the time, the location, and the people that are involved in the first line. The next line, you put what the incident was about. You just write it in one liner or two liners. And then the next thing you do is the outcome. Now, you may not know the outcome for the first couple of years. And I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be at least 3 years of this. Um, there have been cases that have gone quicker and cases that have gone a lot longer. There's lots of delays in your CPS case. So you skip a couple lines, you do the next incident, skip a couple lines, the next incident. So soon you'll have pages and pages of incidents. This is so important because 6 months from now, a year from now, you won't remember. With those incidents, you will help you remember. It will help you remember. Now, another subject tab would be the info you find about CPS. You should have some pages devoted every time you get a new website, new phone number, a new person to talk to, an agency, all the things you find on the website. It's that way you have in one place you look for it. That way you'll know where it's at, and that's another way to do it. Also, another subject would be your court papers. You know, you get a lot of court papers, and you can hole punch them and put them in sequence. Even build a log on one page, put a thing in front, and put down the log of what the court papers you have. So if you have to come find a certain thing, you can look it up. Another subject would be your parenting classes. You put all the certificates in there and a log of them, your programs, your domestic violence program, your alcohol program, your drug program, your anger management program. Those are all programs. Some are a year long classes. I know the anger management is a year long. Some other things could be um, things that you may want to keep track of. And anyway, the ideal is you have one source, one book to carry with you to court, to carry to see your judge or the lawyer, and you can look up things. You can look up things. It's very useful to have your paperwork organized. I wish I did. Use highlighters, pink and yellow, to highlight certain things that are important, and work on it all the time. Take that with you. It's your CPS notebook. I mean, it's the livelihood of you and your kids. Your kids are the most precious things to you. And every one of you know, I mean, Faye is one of the most caring people I've met before. She really cares about family. And she's an animal lover too. She has lots of animals. She takes in strays. She's taken me, and I guess I'm a stray too. Anyway, um, that's rule number two. Rule number three, as I talked about briefly at the beginning of the podcast, was that we don't want to open our door. There's only three ways to get into your home. Either you give them permission, or is domestic violence going along, hitting, screaming, yelling in front of the children, children being slammed against the wall, weapons are being used. And then the third way is to um, have a warrant. And when I mention about a warrant, it's a very official looking piece of paper. It should be signed by a judge in wet ink. And then it also should have an embossed stamp on it. That means where the paper is raised and you can feel it. So it's official. And the ink should be, wet ink. It should not be a copy. You got to be very careful to use Xerox copies. And then there, has to say who's it addressed to. The people that are being alleged that did something, what the allegations are, neglect or abuse, and then the children are listed. Then it says when they can come and see you and the date and time. You see, that's the pertinence that people overlook. Let's say they come to see you with this warrant and it's set for Sunday at 2 o'clock and they show up on Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, you can tell me, look, your warrant's no good. You're at here at the wrong time. They also try to do warrants on the weekend, and the judges don't work on the weekend. So very, very rarely of a court paper showing a Saturday, Sunday date on it. Also, they need to be explicit of what they plan to do. Take your child, talk to you, and so forth. You do not have to talk to social workers. There's no law that says you have to. You don't have to talk to policemen. In fact, that's something I should learn because I talk too much. So you really want to refrain from talking. It's a yes no answer. Now if you're in the house, don't open the door. And I don't know how I can emphasize don't open the door because several people have been killed recently by opening the door. I mean, I talked to someone last night that got killed open the door too. Not them, but they were talking about a person that did. The policemen are very hot and heavy. They shoot first and kill first. They don't know how to shoot someone in the foot or the arm or injure them. They think that the only way they shoot somebody is in the heart. And not only once, they want to shoot 5 times or more. The gun only holds 6 bullets. So they try to empty their whole gun into somebody. Now, the guy I'm talking about, sad to say, he represented a great veteran. He was in the United States Air Force. He was an airman, so he's an enlisted man. And he had just recently joined. He was out of high school, and he was only 23 years old. And on May 3rd, he was shot 5 times point blank in Florida, in Gainesville, Florida. And it was sad. He was killed right on the spot talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. And she saw the whole thing on FaceTime. It was all recorded. And so the officer that shot him, when he asked him to open the door, and he didn't at first ask nicely, or not nicely, but didn't do it right. He was trying to make a commotion out there. He shot before, the guy had a gun, yes. He had a license to carry a gun, but it was at his side pointing to the ground. Now, what he should have done, he should have gone to the door jamb and asked, is anybody in there? And how many people are there? Because he had reports of domestic violence. This airman was alone. He was a black man, alone in his apartment, talking to his girlfriend. And he could have told the airman that, is anybody in there? The guy says, yes. How many people in there? Just one. He could have said, all right, I want you to unlock the door. I want you to lay face down, your hands behind your head. And if you have a weapon, put it to your side. That way he can open the door from the side of the door jamb, peer around, and assess the situation. Get behind and scoot the weapon further away so he knows where the weapon is. Grab the guy's hands and handcuffed him, and then look in the rest of the house for everybody else. And the guy would have been alive today. But instead, the guy's dead. What did he do wrong? He had a nice apartment, nice life going for him, but he had a cocky sheriff. And that's why the police get bad raps. It only takes 1 or 2 bad apples to spoil the good. Police die all the time. I am very thankful for their service. We have the first responders, which are police, fire, paramedics, etc., lifeguards, so forth. I do thank them for their service. I thank our military for their service. But a few bad apples can make everything go so bad. A few bad apples can make everything go so bad. Anyway, I have to end my show because it's now been 1 hour. I've gone over 2 minutes, and I'm sorry if I went too late. I wasn't paying much time, but anyway, I'll be on again at 7 p.m. my time. I want to thank you all. God bless you all. And I pray for you and keep fighting for your kids. This is Bob Pace signing off.